Hey everyone, welcome back to eCoreAcademy. It's me again, Ranen Shakir, with another pre-algebra video for you today. And today, as you can see by our title, this video is going to be all about rounding. So before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow our channel for more videos to come and more videos like this, and help support our community. So thank you. So let's find out how to simplify a number to make our lives easier. It's essentially what rounding is. It makes a value to the closest whatever value to make it easier to understand and easier to calculate and stuff like that. So I have this little joke here. It says that's all 40 sheep. He says, "What? We should have only 37." And the dog is like, "I know, I rounded them up." So hopefully by the end of this video, you will understand what this means. And if you do already, that's great. We can just freshen up our skills. So without further ado, let's get started. So as usual, I was going to start off with definitions and the rules of rounding in this case. So the definition of rounding is replacing and simplifying a number with an approximate value. What that means is that you're taking an approximation of a number. So we'll go over that in a second. So when you round, you want to look at the right place value of the number you are rounding. Don't worry, we'll go over this, make a lot more sense in a second. And if that number is 5 or more, you raise the number or you're rounding up by 1. If that number is 4 or less, you keep your number the same. And then this is a nice little saying here. It says, find the number, look right next door. If it's 5 or more, raise the score. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. And of course, we'll go over what this means in a second. And after you do the correct rounding, every number after your rounded place value becomes a 0. So let's just take a look at this. So we have number 56 here. And it says to round 56 to the 10th place. So the way we do this is that we look at our number, we have 56, we went around to the 10th place, and as from the place value video, we know that the 10th place is the 5. So if you went around to the 5, our rule says look right. So if you look right, the number is 6, and we know that 6 is greater than 5, so that means we have to round up. So 56 rounded to the 10th place is going to be 60, because we have 56. We look at the 10th place, we see 6, we have to round up, and this becomes 60 because every number after the place value you're rounding becomes a 0. So your answer would be 60 in this case. So here's the example right here. Here's the rule right here. Find the number, look right next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. We got 60. Look at another example here. It says round 3,679 to the 100th place. So if we use the same rules that we just discussed, we find the number, so that we're rounding to the 100th place. So the 100th place is the 6. We look right next door. The number right is a 7. If it's 5 or more, 7 is, of course, greater than 5. You raise it, so you're going to raise the 7 up. You're going to raise the 6 up because the 7 is higher than 5. So your answer, 3,679 rounded to the 100th place is going to be 3,700, because 6, you raise it up by 1. 6 plus 1 is 7, and rest of the numbers become zeros. So 3,679 rounded to the 100th place is 3,700. Now hopefully you kind of understand what this is. We'll do one more with decimals, and then we'll go over a bunch of practice problems so we can get the full grasp of this. So in this number, it says this question, it says round 25.67 to the ones place. So again, we have our number. We'll have to look at the ones place. We know the ones place in this number is going to be the 5, if you remember from our place value lesson. And the same rule applies with decimals. You got to look to the right. Our right is a 6, which is higher than 5. You know 6 is greater than 5, greater than or equal to 5. Could be 5 also. And so now we know we have to raise up the 5 by 1 to get 6. So 25.67 rounded to the ones place is going to be 26. Now, if you wrote 26.00, that's also the same exact value. The zeros don't add any value to 26 because, like we said this before, the numbers after the number you're rounding to all become zeros. You can have 26.00, but 26 is also a correct answer. So that's basically the gist of rounding. So let's look at this in the number line, and so we can understand it more visually and hopefully get a better grasp of it. So let's see what rounding looks like on a number line. So we have two number lines here. Our first number line, as you can see, goes from 0 to 10. Our second one goes from 0 to 100. So we're going to try our best with this one. So let's take the number 6. And we say we want to round 6 to the 10th place. All right, we're rounding 6 to the 10th place. And you see here that there's nothing in the 10th place, right? But as you should all know, 0 has no value. So the number, this is the 10th place, and the number 6 is 0. The 100th place is 0. The 1000th place is 0. Everything is 0 for every place value after the ones place for 6 is 0. Even in decimal points, 0, 0, 0. They're all zeros because the 6 is just the value 6. So now let's clear that up a little bit and we talk about this again. So we take 6, we want to round to the 10th place. So the 10th place is an understood 0, right? So we look at 10 and we look at 6. We see we want to round to the 10th place. So we look at the 10th place and we look one place to the right. In this case, it's the ones place, and the number is 6. So we know that we have to round up. And in order to round up, what happens when we round up? The 6 becomes, so 6 rounded to the 10th place becomes 10. Now let's look at the number line that should make sense to you. The 6 rounded to the 10th place is going to become 10, since 6 is closer to 10 than it is to, let's say, 0, or 20, which is way out there, or 30, or 40. So 6 rounded to the 10th place is going to be 10, since that's the closest 10th place value for 6. Let's look at with a little bigger number. Actually, let's start back here. Let's look at number 2. Let's look at 2 now. So if you want to take 2, you want to round it to the 10th place again. So we have 0, 2, because the zeros are understood. There's always a 0 because they have no value. We went on to the 10th place. We look at the 10th place, which is a 0. We look over it, we see it's a 2, which means the number is going to stay the same. So 0 is going to stay the same. So 2 rounded to the 10th place is 0. Because we look at the 10th place, the 2 is less than, it's 4 or less, which means the number stays the same. So the 0 is going to stay the same. So 0 to the 10th place is 0. And this also makes sense, since 2 is closer to 0 than it is all the way to 10, and again 20, 30, 40, and on and on and on. And let's look at a little bigger of a number and see if this makes sense too. So let's look at the number 57. Let's say 57 is around here. So let's round 57 to the 10th place. So we have 57. Our 10th place is the 5. We went around to the 10th place. We look right, and we have the ones place, which is 7. And we know that 7 is greater than or equal to 5, which means we must round up. So 57 rounded to the 10th place is 60. And this should also make sense, since 57 is much closer to 60 than it is to 50 or 40 or 30 or even 70 or 80. So this is how we can look at it in a number line and visualize what rounding looks like. So now that we visualize a number line, let's just go over a bunch of practice problems that I'm going to have you guys try, and then we can work them out together. So let's take the number, we'll start off a little bit easy. We'll take 43. Now pause the video, and I want you to round the number to the 10th place. I'll give you a second to pause it and solve it. All right, so hopefully you've had a second to solve it, and now let's work it out together. So we have 43, we went around to the 10th place. So the way we're going to do this is just by any other number rounding to the 10th place. So look at the 4, so that's in the 10th place. We look right one, it's a 3. We know if the number is 4 or less, we round down. Sorry, we don't round down. What am I saying? So no, we do round down, sorry. So we round down, which means it stays the same. So the 4 stays the same. So 43 rounded to the tens place is just 40. Again, this should make sense. If you go back to look at our number line, we know that 40 is closer to, here, let's go back, look at our number line. We know that 40 is going to be closer to, so, sorry, one second. All right, so we know that 43 is going to be much closer to 40 than 50 or 60 or 70 or 30 or 20 or 10, because 43 is closest to 40. All right, now let's go look at another example, work another one out. So I'll give you a decimal one this time. So round 3.125 to the hundredths. So round it to the hundredths. I'll give you a second to round it to the hundredths, and then we'll come back and figure it out together. All right, so hopefully you had a second to figure it out. Now, you want to make sure you know the decimal place value for this. So our hundredths place is the 2, and the same rules apply once again. We look to the right. We know that 5 is greater than or equal to 5, so we must round up. So 3.125 rounded to the hundredths place is going to be 3.130, which is also the same thing as 3.13. So either of these answers are correct. So if you got that, good job. Let's try a few more. Let's go a little bit bigger. Let's look at number 79,462. And I want you to round this number to the tens and the thousands. So round them to both places and let's see what we get. I'll give you a second to figure it out. All right, hopefully you pause the video and had a second to figure it out. Let's work it out together. So 79,462, we round to the tenth place. We look at their tens place, see it's at 6. Look to the right, see it's at 2. We know that 2 is less than 4, so we know the number stays the same. So 79,462 rounded to the tenth place is 79,460. Now let's look at this number again, round to the thousands. Here, I'll write it down here one more time. 462. We're going to run to the thousands. We know this is the thousands place where 9 is. We look over, we have a 4. We know once again this means that you keep the number the same and the rest becomes zeros. So 79,462 rounded to the thousands place is 79,000. We don't change any numbers on the left. Everything on the right after the place you're rounding to becomes a 0. So keep the 7 the same. All right. Let's try one more, and then this video to wrap up. So let's try, we'll round this number to a couple of places. So let's round 613,776.432. All right. So 613,776 and 432 thousandths. So let's round this to a couple of places. Let's round it to the ones. Let's round it to the tens. Let's round it to the hundreds. And then let's round it to the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths. And let's also round it to the 100,000s. All right. So take a second, pause it, try to solve all 7 of these, and we'll come back and figure them out together. All right. This is 100,000s, by the way. All right. So hopefully you had a second to figure it out, and let's see if you're right. So let's do the ones place first. We see that 613,776,432. So we see that the ones place is a 6, which is right here. And then we have to look to our right, and it's a 4, which means we're going to stay the same. So you should get 613,776 rounded is this number rounded to the ones place. If you got that, good job, you are correct. Now let's look at this next question, which is the tens place. So once again, we can look at the 7, which is the tens place. We look over 1, right? See, it's a 6, which means we must round up. So once we round up, we're going to get 6, 1, 3, 7, 8, 0. Now this 0 is important because it actually serves as a placeholder, because if you wrote 61378, that would be a different number. That would be 61,378. But this 0 makes sure it makes the number 780. So this 0 is important. If you got that, good job. That is correct. So now let's do the next question, which is to the hundreds place. So look at the number, look at the hundreds place, it's 7. And we look to the right, again, this means it's 7, so we must round up. So the hundreds place, it'd be 6, 1, 3, 8, 0, 0, 613,800. If you got that, good job, you are correct. Now let's do, there's 4 more, I think. Yeah, there's 4 more. So let's just finish these ones up. So to the 100,000s, so the 100,000s is the 6. If you know place value, you would know this is the 100,000s. We'll look over 1, look over to the right, it's a 1, which means we stay the same. So this number rounds to the 100,000s is 600,000. All right, we got 3 more. So we look at the next questions asking for the tenths place. So let's look at the tenths place. It's a 4. You look over, it's a 3, which means we stay the same. So the number to the tenths place is 613. It's kind of a small space here. 776.400. Now these zeros aren't necessary, but this should be your answer. And then let's go to the hundredths place. I'm gonna write them down here because I think I might run out of room. So hundredths place, let's just take a look at that. So our hundredths place is the 3 in this number over here. So let's take a look at the hundredths place. We look over, see it's a 2. Again, once again, stays the same. Let me just make some extra room here. I'm gonna write it down here. So the hundredths place, you're gonna get 613,776.40. Oh, sorry, not 0.400. It's 0.430. Apologize. 0.430. That's to the hundredths place. And then finally to the thousandths place. Okay, so thousandths place is the 2. And as we discussed before, there's an understood 0 that goes on infinitely. So we look over 2, it's a 0, so it stays the same once again. So our number to the thousandths place is going to be 613,776.432. It's going to be our original number, since the thousandths place is where it ends. So this is basically what rounding is. You just look at our numbers, we look to the right. If it's 5 or more, we raise the number we're rounding up by 1. If it's 4 or less, we keep it the same, and everything to the right becomes 0. So that was your video on rounding today. I hope you enjoyed and you stuck around for it. I hope you learned something new or refresh your memory on rounding. Please make sure to like and subscribe and comment once again, and check out our website, eCoreAcademy. And feel free to email us with any questions, comments, or concerns. And the rest of our socials will be in the description box below as usual. So once again, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys next week with our next topic video. Good night.